Hey, I'm Leigh Dunlap. I am the author of Bless Your Heart, and you can catch us on One Final Twist.
Leigh Dunlap is a writer who knows how to grab an audience and keep them hooked, whether she's building a world on the page or shaping one on screen. You may know her from A Cinderella Story, but her range runs far past that, landing most recently in the book world with Bless Your Heart, a sharp, warm, and wickedly observant novel that shows exactly how well she handles character and voice. She brings a clear point of view, a storyteller's precision, and a deep curiosity about what makes people tick. Today, we will dig into how she works, what inspires her, and what drives her to chase the stories only she can tell. So, first off, do you want to give us a quick overview of Bless Your Heart for those who may not have read it yet?
Oh my gosh. It's a Southern thriller, a mystery about a murdered Little League baseball coach. And which one of sort of Atlanta's Buckhead Betties are called, which are like the Karens of Atlanta, may have something to do with his death. So yeah, that's about all I got right now.
Can you tell us the difference between Buckhead Betties and Karens? So, like,
Yeah.
yeah. So when I think about it, if I hadn't read the book, I would say that a Buckhead Betty is has money, and more, it's more vengeful and maybe a
Hmm.
little more slick, I guess,
Hmm.
than a Karen. Like they're not going to run at you with their phone. But so what? Tell us the
Right,
difference
I see what you're
between Buckhead
saying.
Betty and a Karen.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the biggest difference probably is financial. I mean, a Karen, I guess, could be from any economic strata, just be sort of the that annoying woman. Whereas a Buckhead Betty is a rich woman from Buckhead, which is the Beverly Hills of Atlanta, and it's really what they're called. They are sort of, entitled, obnoxious, uh, and they run society there. Um, so yes, they are. I mean, it's the easiest way for me to say is they are the Karens of Atlanta, but yeah, it runs a little bit deeper, very insular as they are a group from a area that is very specific in the country.
So, this is an actual group in real life.
Yeah, I mean, there's, I doubt there's anyone in Atlanta who would admit to being a Buckhead Betty. So they're not card carrying. They don't get together like at book clubs and stuff like that. But, but people in Atlanta, they know who they are. You know, they'll pick them out in a second. Although nobody would ever own up to it. But yes, they are definitely an ever-changing group. I'm sure as they come and go and live and die and, whatever, they get new members all the time. But yes, they're very well known in Atlanta.
Have you heard anything from anybody in the Atlanta area about the book at all? About like particularly the Bettys?
Well, I mean, I lived in Atlanta. I lived in Buckhead for a long time, and
Okay.
some of my very best friends live there, and none of them would ever admit to being Buckhead Betties, and they're not. But they certainly know a lot of them, and they love it, but they're my friends. But they recognize it, and some of the stories are based on things that they've witnessed themselves. So I definitely got, a little brain trust together and said, give me your stories. And they did. So, names have been changed to protect the innocent. But uh, yes, so I've heard mostly from people I know. I actually go next week to a book club of people I don't know in Atlanta. So I'll be very interested to see what they have to say. And then another one in Atlanta in January. I don't think that anything comes as any kind of shock to anybody there.
So what inspired the story and why did you want to write it?
Hmm. Well, living in Atlanta and I just thought it was cool that there were these people called Buckhead Betties. And I thought somebody needs to write about them. And I wanted to do at first just like a funny book. And then I'm like, well, who would read that? And so it just kind of evolved to to something that maybe somebody would want to read, which was, murder mystery. And the actual impetus was my son played Little League, which is a big part of the book. And I've told the story before. I hope it's not boring, but I was at a Little League game of his. He was like 10 years old, and a mother from another team yelled at one of our boys in the middle of the stands and called one of the boys an asshole. Um, and I
Wow.
remember just sitting there going, did someone just do that? Who does that? How could you call a 10-year-old boy? He hadn't even done anything. Um, and feel comfortable about doing that. Or no, maybe not comfortable, but not care that you had done it or not care what people would think. And that's that kind of person. And that really got me thinking. And I'm sure kind of stuck in my head. And I thought this little league world is an interesting place to be. And so I kind of stuck with it there, and it all just kind of grew from there.
What is your writing routine?
Yeah, you caught me on a day when I've been routining. It's a lot of thinking, and then a lot of note cards, and then a lot of outlines. And when I finally feel like I know where it's going, I know what the major plot points are, I will sit down and start writing. And, some days it's a lot. Some days I just like can't deal. But if I get pretty obsessed about it, and I'll just write and write and write and write and just until I have something. And then, it's not writing, it's rewriting. So then it's just the constant pulling it apart, putting it back together again, until I have something that is worthwhile for someone else to at least look at.
Are you working on a screenwriting project or another book?
Both.
Are you?
Screenwriting is how I pay the bills. So I'm doing that now, and writing another book too. So I have to alternate. I have to know every day I've got to like do so much, at this time and so much at that time, and just try to tackle them both as much as possible. It's not always that way, where I have two things to work on. So, and they're two very different things. So, but yeah, the outlines help a lot. Just kind of like putting on different hats.
So how do you switch from screenwriting to book writing?
I guess, you know, I'm I'm a I'm a book writer, maybe in name only. It's like book writing to me is like, Spanish. It's a different language. It's hard. Screenwriting's easy. You can do that all day long. But I do think that my book reads a little bit like a screenwriting thing. It's definitely, in my head, it's a TV show. It's 8 episodes, and it's kind of laid out that way. So I know there are, a lot of real writers who who are very literary and have amazing prose and stuff. And I love my book. I don't know if I'm at that level. So it's still to me, it's the organization of plot points. It's the same. You're still telling a story just in a different medium. But it runs from the same place, I guess. So it's not that much different to me, I guess. I just have to use a lot more words in the book than I do in a script, which is a little annoying sometimes. Like, oh, I have to explain this. My joke is always like, the character enters the room. Well, everybody gets it. Why do I have to tell what the room looks like? But you do. But they're both interesting. They're very different in terms of what you have to do on the page, aside from the story, and they're different art forms, and it's really cool to kind of do the two. And I think writing the book has definitely helped me with screenwriting, making it a little richer, I think, if that makes sense.
Well, I can tell you your book writing is very visual. I mean, I was able to easily visualize. I can still see the field,
Oh, good,
the
good, good.
baseball field, and it's been several months since I read the book, and so it's very visual. So I think your screenwriting definitely helps with that.
Thanks,
So
Sherry. I appreciate it.
Mhm.
I feel like when I see when after it, and I usually go into books blind. I'm a kind of a go into blind reader, but after I find out that my author is a screenwriter, it'll immediately I pick it up. Like,
Ah.
oh, their dialogue. Like, I feel like your dialogue was just easy. It went and it was. So, do you feel like being a screenwriter like helped that part, or was there any part that made it, merging to the book world easy?
Um, I couldn't tell you exactly. I'm sure it did. It had to have. Just, as I'm writing, just seeing it, in my head, it's playing like a movie, which I'm sure is every writer, is seeing it in their head and it's playing like a movie. But, I'm thinking like an actress saying those words, and wanting them to be, true and real. So yeah, I'm sure it helped. Yeah.
Is there any part of Bless Your Heart that was nothing like how you originally planned it? Like you had it in your head and then it was left turn, gotta go.
Something that I can't talk about, but did happen. I can say that it happened is the ending is different. And I had to change the ending as per the publishers. So that's very different. Um, and so yeah, I can't talk about it though. Can't talk about what it was in terms of what it is. Not that it's some people liked it better the way before who'd read it. Some people like it better now. So I don't know, good or bad. But so yeah, that was different. It just is. It is different, very different.
if your book had a theme song, what would it be?
Oh God, I hate these kind of questions. I'm so bad at them. Um, I can't even answer it. I literally, there's like, I wish I could remember what it was, but there's some question that like Peter Thiel would ask, every guy who came in to interview for a job. And I would have no idea how to answer that question. I'm just not that clever. I'm sorry. I'm just not that clever. Sherry, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Maybe if you were doing it as a screenplay, what would be like the intro music? Like, would it be dark music or would it be light music?
Think it'd be somewhere in between.
Okay.
Um, you know, uh, I'm hoping it would be semi-light, but maybe tricking you a little bit, with a little undertone of darkness. So you're not quite sure what you're getting yourself into.
Which part of the publishing process has surprised you the most? I know that you had it change the ending, and I know
Mm,
we talked about your Conan, about your cover, and were a little bit like unsure about how that was going to go. So, and we
yeah.
both learned how long it takes from the time that you submit your um you start you from the time you start writing to the time it gets published is like 2 and 3 years, and we didn't realize that. So which part of all of these things has surprised you the most?
Well, mine actually was much faster than that. I want to say sold it in, God, what was it? Um, Sold it in the summer, or and it was out within a year, kind of thing. Just because they have their dates, things have to be out. So you've got to make those marks, hit those marks, and so it was just kind of pushed along pretty quickly. But as far as things, I mean, everything was a surprise to me because I knew nothing. Um, you know, uh, how much, I mean, I did know it was going to be a lot of hard work. I get that. It's a lot of hard work in screenwriting too. It's been an immense amount of hard work and an immense amount of money. And you're on this, your book gets released And then next week, more books get released. And the week after that, more books get released. And it's very hard to keep up, to be relevant, to stay out there. And it takes a lot of effort from a lot of people to make that happen. And balancing them all is very, very hard. So that was that was harder than I thought, I guess, just because so much of it is out of your control. Uh, and it, honestly, it's amazing that anybody finds your book at all. Really. Um, I, I'm very surprised by that. I don't know what I was thinking that, oh, I put my book out and everybody will see it. I just like my book takes place in Georgia. Um, I don't think I'm in a single bookstore in Georgia. I don't think I have ever been. I know I'm not in a single Barnes and Noble in Georgia. And I have a scene that takes place at Barnes and Noble in Atlanta, and I'm not in that bookstore. Um, and that surprised me that how hard it is to just even be in a bookstore. So surprising and and honestly disappointing. Um, but you're just competing against so many other books. So
Yeah, there's so many books that come out, on Tuesday, the
yeah.
most published day, but then other days of the week, books come out too. So yeah, it's hard. And I know some publishers, have a marketing department and some kind of rely on the author to do it. So how was it for you? Did you have a lot of support from your publisher and agent, or was it kind of more yourself?
Um, I'm sure they've done a lot that I don't even know about because, it takes so much to launch a book. But yes, I am responsible for the vast majority of it. And I hired a publicist, Megan Beatty, who was great. Honestly, if I hadn't had her, I don't think anything would have happened. You are responsible for doing so much. Because the publisher only has so many resources and they have so many writers and so many books to launch. um, so as I'm sure it's really morphed into a thing where they want you to have huge social media platforms from which to launch. I don't really. So and I wonder even if I did, if it, how much that matters. It's almost like lightning has to strike almost, to really, really take off. I'm going to be, I'm being very honest here. I'm going to be one of Kindle's daily deals on Saturday.
Okay.
So I'll be interested to see what the impact of that is. Amazon's been actually great in, their algorithm keeps picking me up, which is great. So then that's been interesting. The whole Amazon thing is fascinating. Um, it's a million moving parts, and the juggling to keep up with it all is intense. Uh, and it's funny. I look at a lot of writers like Aggie Bloom Thompson, who I met at VoucherCon, who's awesome, or Hank Philippi Ryan, or Kara Ruda, who just like one book after another. And I don't, honestly have no idea how they do it. It's amazing to me. It's not me. It's not going to be me. There's not going to be a book next month, you know. Um, but they really, and they've built these huge platforms and they release these books and they do such an incredible job. I haven't learned that yet. I haven't learned how to do that yet. So this is really trial by fire.
When in researching this book, especially through the detective part, did you get to do any ride-alongs and stuff with Atlanta PD or go down there? Because I would love to be a fly on their wall and find out what they have to say about,
Oh my
the
God,
Buckhead
they would
Betty's and
probably
French
laugh.
crime.
No, they'd laugh me out of the room. I definitely took a lot of liberties. I know that. But the only thing that's really Atlanta is that the detectives wear fedoras. It's their thing. So I did add that. But the farthest I ever went, I was living in Las Vegas at the time, and I contacted someone at Las Vegas about sort of blood stains. And they were so nice. I couldn't believe someone actually got back to me. talk to me about it. But I wouldn't say my book's a forensic thing. Real detectives would probably not think it was very real. I don't know. It's more about characters and people, and I'm sure I took many liberties.
I think everybody needs to go to Buckhead and just figure it out one time. I'm telling you, it is like culture shock 101 to just roll in there. I'll never forget. That was the first time I'd ever seen like the where they park your car for you. You pull in and they like, oh my God, they're parked. And then I mean literally on this. So we'll get this part out of here because I have to tell this story. So my stepmom took me on a bus tour. I was 22, 23, and the
Wow.
average age on this bus was probably 80. And everybody had these velour suits on, and
Yes.
they dropped you off down there at Buckhead. And I'm working at Subway. Like that was so
Right.
they drop us off on this bus. Everybody is like, they're all cute and they're wealthy older women, and they're gonna go do their Christmas shopping. And then there's me and a water. I couldn't even afford a t-shirt the whole
Wow.
time I was there. Like
Right.
it's like what has just happened? It was cool, but it was a lot to see. I had never seen like security guards out in front of a store.
Oh, right.
Only a
Yeah.
certain number of people could go in at a time to like look at different items. I was like, holy fright, what? It's different. The amount of money that's there is just crazy.
And it's funny, I moved away 5+ years ago, and I go back all the time to see my friends. And even like the last time I went back for the book launch, it's like at another level. Every year I go back, it's a new level of like bling and fanciness. And when you just think it can't get any better or worse, it reaches this new absurd level of just consumerism. And there's nothing wrong with that. God bless people who have a lot of money and can and do that. That's wonderful. But it's just like the fancy cars and the mansions and the stores. It just keeps getting more and more and more, and it's incredible. And that was another reason I don't think many people even know what Buckhead is. That it hasn't been written about that much. It certainly hasn't been on TV that much, other than A Man in Full. Um, Many years back, and kind of nailed it at that time too. And even that, I mean, A Man in Full makes it look like podunk. That back then, compared to what it is now.
So it's a lot of people trying to outdo each other, probably.
Oh, totally. Yeah, totally. And I say this, there's a Buckhead in every city. Every big city's got their version of Buckhead. But it's its own little southern southern take on it, I guess. And Atlanta's also interesting because it is a lot of people from a lot of different places. You have the homegrown people, but you have people that have moved there from all over the country. And how they fit into the whole tableau is interesting too. So it is a little bit of a different place.
It's from where I live, we don't Atlanta isn't considered the South. It's just Atlanta.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, because it is like such a mishmash and of people that have lived so many different places.
Yeah,
It's not really the South. It's just
not the
Atlanta.
South. Yeah, I
And
don't
see,
know.
it's the South for me from Iowa. So
From Iowa to the South.
yeah.
My son grew up there and he has no Southern accent. And I was talking to my friends this last year when the book came out. And we were discussing it because they're all from Atlanta, grew up in Atlanta, but their kids also grew up in Atlanta, and none of their kids have Southern accents. Like it's gone from that generation in Atlanta. I'm sure around Atlanta, that still exists, but um, it existed at one point and it doesn't anymore. And so, yeah, I guess Atlanta kind of isn't the South anymore, I guess. I don't know.
What is one piece of advice that you would give yourself if you could go back in time when it comes to writing this book, this journey that you've been on?
That's hard because a part of me, on a bad day says, don't do it. Write a script. But on other days, it's been such an amazing journey. To write a book, to meet people like you guys, other authors, to see how the whole industry works. I mean, what a fascinating and wonderful gift in my life to have all that. Um, but I'd say, hmm, I know now better where to spend my money, I guess. How to spend the money and not spend the money, where I wasted money. Um, so I guess I could have told myself that, but it's part of the learning experience. So I don't think if I change that question around a little bit, is there anything you would or wouldn't do? Is there something you'd change? There's nothing I would really change.
So when you're not writing either screenplays or books, what kind of genres do you like to read?
I almost exclusively read nonfiction. I love biographies. I love true stories. My favorite book is a book called Ship of Gold in a Deep Blue Sea by Gary Kinder, which is about a shipwreck in the 1800s, kind of thing, in the modern day search for the treasure. Um, one of my favorite books is the autobiography of Andrew Carnegie. I kind of have this weird feeling that if I'm not reading something and learning something that's useful in my life, like, that I'm wasting my time. So, having said that, though, I mean, I love, you know, dramas on TV. So, like The Gilded Age, I think I've watched it through 7 times now. Uh, so it's not exclusive to my TV watching. But for some reason, books are just, I feel like they have to be work. Um, so it's been a very interesting thing to do this, and then I had to start reading other mysteries. Somebody was nice enough to, if they wrote a blurb for me, or I met them, at VoucherCon or whatever. I started having to read all of these books, and I never had before. So that's been fun, and to see how people write the same thing I'm writing and how they did it. And that was an education in itself for sure.
So are you able to read like a thriller for enjoyment, or do you pretty much like pick it apart, get tips from it?
No, I don't really pick them apart. I enjoy reading them. Um, but I don't think I would go to a bookstore and get one for reading pleasure, if that makes any sense.
Mhm.
Um, but once I do read them, I really enjoy them. So, uh, but again, it's that nagging feeling like you're wasting your time. You need to learn how to start a business. Right? You need to learn how to become a railroad tycoon. I don't know. I don't know, but it's been great. Like a whole year kind of reading all of these mystery books, and people's different voices. That's been a pleasure for sure.
I love nonfiction, but that rabbit hole, where they put all of their things at the end, and then the next thing you know, the kitchen table is covered. I've lost 3 days. I love it, but I do. It is and it's really interesting too, where we read thrillers, mystery thrillers, a little bit of horror, that sort of thing. Um, the algorithm wouldn't pick it up. If I read a nonfiction and reviewed it and posted it, it would it's
Yeah.
like no big deal. So I just read it for fun. But it's a whole adventure. So when I'm finished, it's not that I don't even trust what that author put in there when it comes to nonfiction. I want more. And I
Oh,
will just
I'm constantly like on my phone when I'm reading a nonfiction book. Like it'll mention something and then I'll have to like look that up. You know, what is that? Who was that person? Even last night I finished watching, I don't know if y'all watched it. What's it called? Death by Lightning.
Oh,
It's on Netflix. It's so good. It's only 4 episodes and it's about Garfield, President Garfield getting assassinated, which sounds just so random and weird, but it's like amazing. And so, and I didn't really know anything about Garfield. So afterwards, I'm like, President Garfield, who were his kids? Like, what happened? Who's the guy that shot him? It's just like the whole thing, so it's this whole other education. And inevitably, I always feel like I actually don't feel smarter afterwards. Like, I feel like, oh, why can't I remember all these things I just read? Like, so. So yeah, maybe I just need to get into fiction and get lost a little bit. But yeah, other than like Bridget Jones's Diary, I'd never really read fiction. That was really funny though, so I did enjoy that book.
did you always know that this is the path that you would take? Like that you would be a screenwriter or writer, like going, that
Yeah.
was just a dream?
I mean, Teresa, honestly, I wasn't good at anything else. Like I joke that, and it's true. My first grade math quiz. I think there were 50 questions and I got like 45 wrong. I mean, it's just, I remember how upset my dad was. And it wasn't my thing. But I could write and, teachers pick it out, right? They start telling you what you're good at. So they always encouraged me, to be a writer. And then I literally grew up in Studio City, California. Um, where the studios were. And the kids I went to school with were the kids of people in the industry. And so it was just an industry town. It just felt like what you did. And USC and UCLA, which had the two big film schools, were in town. And literally half my school went to USC, half my school went to UCLA. And I went to USC. And it seemed like it was just meant to be, that was just the path that I was going to be on. I was a writer. It was something I could do. And I lived in Studio City. So, so I became a screenwriter. It's funny, but though I was thinking about it and I hadn't really thought about it. My mom passed away ages ago. She wanted me to go get a liberal arts education. She wanted me to write novels. And I was like, no, I'm writing movies. I'm going to film school. And it irked her to no end. She was so upset about that. And I was thinking these last few days, I'm like, wow, she would finally be happy. I wrote a book. So, um, Mom, I wrote a book. So exercise that demon, I guess.
What's next? You mentioned, you're writing a screenplay and also a book. Can you talk anything about the book?
Yeah, the book, I'd gone back and forth on what to write next. And my agent and I finally decided I'm doing a rom-com. So
Oh,
that's the next one, something a little different, which is actually really more in my wheelhouse anyways. So that's what I'm working on. And then actually the screenplay is a much more historic thing based on somebody else's book. So that I've been hired to do. So very different things. One's sort of a 1960s thing about race and politics in Georgia, and then Always the Bridesmaid, a rom-com about weddings.
Well, I'll be very interested to talk with you after that and see how writing a thriller is different than writing a rom-com because I'm
Hopefully, it'll
because
have
I'm
a
sure they're
happier
different.
ending. Lighter, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
yeah.
be interested to talk to you about it too.
I don't think anybody's going to die in this in the rom-com.
I don't know. I love killing people though. I kill someone off in everything I do. But no, I don't think I'm killing anybody in this one. So no, so you're right. No deaths, at least no murders.
Do you have a set date, like, or a proposed date?
I don't, but it's like, oh, I feel like there's a gun to my head, to get it done because, I should have probably written something a long time ago, but I've got bills to pay. So I've been writing screenplays to try to pay bills. So yeah, and my agent is wonderful and she hasn't been been like, "Where's your book?" So she's been great about it. But yeah, my self-imposed timeline is like yesterday. So I'm going to get to work on it.